How many people think Mike Tomlin's a good coach? By the way, Tony Siracusa, college football's in chaos right now. Never seen anything like it. Okay, the Pac-12 is finished. There's no more Pac-12. It's done. After, how many years? Since 1915. Over. How many people think that Mike Tomlin's a good coach? For the record, I'd love to play for him. Definitely a good coach. I think question is, Tomlin a Hall of Fame coach? Interesting take. What's the difference between him and Dungy? What's Dungy done? More than Tomlin. Is Dungy a Hall of Fame coach? Pretty compatible. Tomlin is, but he might get the boot. Okay, well, you tell me if you think this is good. By the way, I think Tomlin is, please don't get me confused. So do you think that since 2009, he's 5-8 in the postseason, missed the playoffs 6 times with the Steelers? That's Hall of Fame? Since 2009, they've missed the playoffs 6 times. 5-8. I mean, they haven't won like a significant playoff game in like 14 years. You guys are trying to tell me you think Sirianni's some sort of special coach. We're showing you how hard it is to win in this league. I'm talking about a guy who I revere, Tomlin. Who everyone looks at Mike Tomlin. You know who's got a better postseason record than Mike Tomlin? Mike McCarthy. But yet you look at Tomlin different. Yeah, what's he done since 2009? What's he done in the last 13 years? 14 years? Nothing. Now, is that running out of steam with Ben? When you make the Dungy comparison, you got to put Tomlin in there. Okay. Tony Dungy, again, his best coaching job was in Tampa, not in Indianapolis, with Peyton Manning. Gee, really? He had Peyton Manning in Indy. He must have won 5 Super Bowls. No. Oh. The job he did in Tampa by turning that shit organization around and turning it into a winner, that's his greatest accomplishment. All those draft choices. Discovering the Tampa 2. The coaching hierarchy tree he started with Mike Tomlin. Guys like that. His best coaching was in Tampa. What's McCarthy done without Rodgers? What's Sean Payton done without Drew Brees? What's Sean Payton done without Drew Brees? Drafted Taysom Hill? Maybe the most overrated contract in the history of quarterback play in NFL history, next to the juice guy. I mean, come on. Bill without Tom? Hey, Steve, what did Parcells do without Bill Belichick? I'll wait. We can play this game too. I can go down the line with all of them. Ain't that hard. I mean, it ain't that easy to win in the postseason. And coaches are constantly on the firing block, no matter what your name is. Tomlin, Sirianni, Doug Peterson. Doesn't matter. The coaching profession today is less safe than it's been in the last 20 years. No matter what you do. You could win a Super Bowl and then 2 years later, you get a knock on the door from Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and you're fired. Doesn't matter. Ace. Seals, good coaches most of the time have good players. It goes hand in hand. It can't survive apart, in my opinion. It can't. And what's different today is that the coaches don't get an opportunity to handpick their players like they used to. There's only been 2 head coaches, maybe 3 head coaches in my lifetime that I've seen and played against or were around that were the greatest talent evaluators and head coaches. They were Jimmy Johnson, Chuck Noll, and Bill Walsh. Handpicked their talent with guys that they handpicked to pick the talent with, put systems in play. But the difference was with those coaches were what? There was no salary cap. Now with the massive turnover that you have, look at the turnover that the Eagles have had. I think it's harder to be a general manager, and I think you can't do dual roles anymore. I don't think coaches today could be general managers and head coaches because there's just so much turnover. There's not a chance in hell Chuck Noll could sit down and talk about a kid from North Texas State and sit there and evaluate that and then prepare for the Oilers or prepare for the Chargers for the weekend. There's just no time for that. So that role of having the dual dude is gone. And that's why front offices and having people like Roseman are so important. Peter King at SI just declared us the deepest team in the league. His opinion is Tom Brady is your opinion. Okay. Jay Buzz, if you think you have the deepest team, you have the shittiest linebacking room in the league. You took 2 dudes off the street already. How is that deep? You got 2 defensive tackles that don't start, that are going to play a significant role this year. Your safety position is not very good. How are you the deepest team? Well, NFC, you might be. And again, you're nowhere in the 49ers room in depth and in talent. Peter King can say whatever he wants. I'll give a shit what that guy thinks. How are you deep when you have a Mike linebacker that has 34 snaps and is hurt already? You're going to plug him in against the Patriots because he played in the SEC title game 2 years ago. Congratulations. That's some thinking, I guess. By the way, I do think that Saints team, now that you get Kareem Hunt to hold down the fort for a couple weeks until Kamara gets there. So your backfield is going to be, let's take a look at that offense for a second in New Orleans. You're going to have Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara, Olave, and Michael Thomas, a really good O-line, and an outstanding defense. You want to hear something about Cam Jordan? How many people think Cam Jordan's a good player? He hasn't signed with the Saints. I thought he was, from what I understand, I thought he took a physical with them. He is still a free agent, is meeting the Colts. Okay, I thought he was going to New Orleans. I must have misheard that. Report came across 8 minutes ago. Okay, I thought I heard that he was in New Orleans. How many people believe Cam Jordan? Everyone did. You're good. Okay, good. All right. He just signed a contract extension, too. Do you know he has more sacks than J.J. Watt? He has more sacks than J.J. Watt. They got a good defense. Lattimore back, they're good. That team's going to win some ball games. Cam Jordan's a great player. Always kind of like has been under the radar. Okay? Always been a little under the radar. He's a good football player. Always been. That Saints team's going to be a good ball team. Let me one more time before we get to like both divisions, and I want to give my opinion on AFC, NFC, as we're getting ready for really the first games of exhibition football. And I'm going to look at these are going to be my rosters. Okay? Forte thinks that Cam Jordan and Brandon Graham are the same guy. Never close. Cam Jordan's a superstar. Brandon Graham's never been. Pete Carroll said something today, and it just shows you great coaching again. He goes like this today. Man, Brandon Graham and Cam Jordan aren't in the same atmosphere, and I love Brandon. As people, you want to have that conversation? I'm sure Brandon Graham is one of the great. When I think of Brandon Graham, can I tell you what I think of? A really good football player that should be up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year honor every year. That's what I think of him. But when we're talking about football players and football talent, justification goes to the right player. Cam Jordan's 10 times the player he was. Okay? Pete Carroll said something today. He goes, more and more I watch Geno Smith, the more and more I see this guy getting better and better and better and better. Okay? Just getting better and better and better and better and better. Continuing to get better and better. I just showed you what great coaching is. Guy believes in you. Guy's pushing you. He's giving you 2,000-yard wide receivers. He's got faith in you. And it's not just lip service. He's putting good ball players around him. Went and got the running back from Michigan State, 1,000 yards, helped him out. Has 2,000-yard wideouts, helped him out. Got a coordinator up there who buys into Geno, and they gave him 30-some million a year for a guy who was kicked to the trash can because no one wanted to coach him. Thought he was aloof. Couldn't win the locker room over. Got his ass kicked in the Jets locker room, and no one defended him, including his own line. There's hope for Carson Wentz. He should look to that. Seattle would be a great place for him. Go sit up there and get coached hard. That might be Geno Smith was one team away from being kicked out of the league. He was one team away from the XFL. And Pete Carroll saved his life. It's football life. I'm not going to Denver. Why would I go to a coach who I think is overhyped and overrated? And he's more worried about being on Fox and talking shit on other coaches than worrying about his own sandbox. Pete Carroll doesn't talk shit on anybody. Shit, man. Russell Wilson. He must have looked at that and went like this when he got to Denver last year. Wow. What a culture shock. He thought he was going to run it his way. Thought he knew, like Brady knew. See, Russell Wilson thought he was Tom Brady last year. Yeah, well, on the way to trying to win a championship, everyone realized he's a fraud too. He's a movie star now. Russell Wilson's not an NFL quarterback. He's a movie star. He and his wife are movie stars. They're not football players anymore. Okay? He's not a football player. He's a celebrity. You know? He's a celebrity. You go to a place like Seattle, you get saved. That's what I'm saying. Let me get to this. I think it's going to be interesting. By the way, I will say this about Pete Carroll. I do think that the Broncos turn it around. I do. I just think there's a little bit of fraudness with, or being a little bit of a phony with Peyton. Okay? I do. All right. I want to start the AFC before we get to the NFC. Thursday night, we're really going to start our exhibition football season for the NFL teams. A lot of teams have, especially in the NFC, I think it's going to be imperative that you play a lot of your younger players because depth is going to win that conference. See, you could say that you think you have the deepest team. You know full well you don't. Peter King's watching it from 35,000 feet. How many times last year did you watch people talking about the Eagles? And they were making these crazy-ass statements about the Eagles. And then, like, the Dallas Cowboys have the best offensive line. If you listen to anybody outside of Philadelphia, they would say other teams had better O-lines. Your O-line's aging. And I'm like, that's not what I saw. I watch that team on a daily basis, and that's not what I saw. Peter King doesn't watch that team on a daily basis. I do. And one thing I would not say is that O-line's old. You may be old on the roster with your age next to it, but they don't play old. Okay? Your right tackle and your center are just as good as your left guard and your left tackle. And better, actually. The older guys are better than the younger guys. Think about that. If shit, last year, your 31-year-old right guard, Sayamalo, and your 34 or 33-year-old right tackle and your 35-year-old center were better than your left guard and your left tackle, who are in their mid-20s. So here's the AFC. I think the Dolphins have a really good roster. I do. Do the Dolphins have a Super Bowl roster? How about this? Let's do this with the Dolphins. If Tua gives the Dolphins 16 games, 16 games, how good will the Dolphins? Could the Dolphins get to the AFC title game if he gives them 16, 17 games? Peter North said no team is too deep. Congratulations, Maniac. I hear you're playing the boardwalk. Don't eat the veal. Don't eat the veal. Hey, I hear he's playing Oceans. He's playing the ballroom at Oceans, maniac. Don't eat the veal. Not in the AFC? Okay. I don't think they're an AFC championship contender either. All right? I do think their roster's good, though. Broncos. AFC West, one of the better divisions in football. I can't wait to see these young guys playing on these teams this preseason. I think depth is going to win. And when I get to the NFC, and I'm going to give you an opinion on the NFC, okay? Rosters are going to win this thing, not the talent you have on your starting depth charts right now. So how it looks on August 8th has no bearing on who wins the NFC. No bearing. How about this? Does Wilson have a bounce back? Yeah. To what level, though? To what level? Like, do you think that, how about this? Who has a better season for the older quarterbacks? Aaron Rodgers in the AFC or Russell Wilson? Both Hollywood movie stars now. Or do both not make the postseason? Wouldn't that be crazy? Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers don't make the postseason. Try that one out. I think that Browns, JH says, no one is saying Howie has to draft Fred Warner every year, but if they applied to the same dedication to evaluating linebackers as they do with D-line, we would have a stacked defense. Why doesn't he value the linebacker position? Because I think he puts more value in the defensive line and the offensive lines. And get this, I'll tell you, JH, Cowboys just grabbed Mike Hawk for linebacker depth. Hey, you can get away with suspect linebackers if you invest in your. It's a great take, JH. But here, this is why you were able to develop a guy like TJ Edwards, and Kaiser played well. Because the guys in front were just really playing great. They had a great – some of those guys had career years. And you can get away with that, especially when your guy behind you – get this – look at what you had last year and what you don't have now. You had a defensive tackle that had 11 sacks in front and 60 tackles and 16 quarterback hits or 16 TFLs, whatever it was, in front of TJ Edwards with Fletcher Cox. Behind him, you had a guy that led the NFL in interceptions and another guy with 91 tackles. You can get away with that. But when you're new in front, new behind, new at linebacker, you're not getting away with that. And new upstairs, you're not getting away with that. It's common sense. What happened was, you should have brought Edwards back. He would have helped the defensive tackle play and the safety play. They didn't want to invest, though. Dude, I understand not giving Javon Hargrave 20 and Gardner Johnson 8. But what I don't get is, so you're going to lose all those other guys around you and your coordinator at the same time, and you're going to put a guy in there who's a schwimp and played 34 snaps last year. Not 34 tackles, 34 snaps. Makes no sense. It has no common sense to it. And then you could sit here with Peter King. How in the world does Peter King say you're deep when you got guys that have never played a snap? How do you say that? You got one guy who underachieved last year in Jordan Davis. You got another guy who's never played a snap in his life in the NFL. You got a linebacker, Mike Linebacker, who's played 34 snaps. You just signed 2 dudes off the street. Rest of them are free agents and guys that were fired. I don't know how that's deep. All Eagle said, Sills, you said yourself Carter is much better. Hey, Tone, can you put that up there? Because I like to finish that one. I said there's a shot that kid could be more than Javon Hargrave. Correct. But let him play one down first. I'm not wishful thinking here. Sills, you said yourself Carter is much better talent than Hargrave. Okay. He has more potential, I said. Potential is something that you haven't done yet. You guys don't understand what the word potential means. Potential means you haven't done it. No one ever in a million years ever puts the word potential with Mahomes. No one. We know who he is. When you hear the word potential, they're still not sure about you. I like this Browns team. Don't go to sleep on them. Don't go to sleep. Ravens, interesting ball team. A lot of work on defense they did in the offseason. Eric DeCosta did some nice stuff. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be, and I think, get this, I think Lamar Jackson is going to play like his hair's on fire this year. I think you're going to see this guy, and he is going to be full gas pedal down. You think you're going to be in an F1 race. This guy is going to go full pedal down. He's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite role models, one of my favorite guys in the NFL. I admire this kid. See him out playing with the kids, impacting the community. Loves kids that grew up hard like he did. People doubting him. People being racist with him, wanted him to play wide receiver, unanimous MVP. Nothing about that kid I don't love. Now, I didn't love the way last year ended. It was disappointing, to say the least. However, there's too many more intangibles that are great about him. You know, I got into a back and forth with him when someone insulted him. You know, Lamar's got gold teeth, right? And wears cornrows. Cornrows are a symbolic thing of the past. For African Americans, people don't realize it. They just think it's a hairstyle. It's not. It's symbolic. And he had it, and some guy goes, D, don't you think you'd be a little bit more dressed and represent your team better? And I called the guy a racist, and Lamar goes, thanks, Sills. And I go, bro, I think you're one of the absolute great role models in this country. I'd be proud to have my daughter date you or marry you. He is absolutely everything you want in a role model. I'm rooting for him. Totally dig him. Okay? I mean, just he's can I tell you probably why? You guys remember the wide receiver Lamar Thomas? Played with the Dolphins. He's a Hurricane. He recruited him. He was a wide receiver coach at Louisville and University of Miami with that asshole Al Golden. Didn't want to recruit him. And I'm like this to Al, this kid is the real deal. And he goes like this. I go, you missed on Teddy Bridgewater. Get this guy. Nah, I don't see it. He's just an athlete. I'm like, this guy's a good ball player, guy. He's like, and he's a South Florida kid. Nope, passed on him, wins the Heisman. And that's why when I went on the air in Miami, I used to kick the shit out of Al Golden. Can't pass on Lamar Jackson. And he's a South Florida kid. God, it rubs me the wrong way. And Lamar Thomas is one of my boys. He's one of my guys. Always will be. Love. I think he's the wide receiver coach now at Kentucky. One of my guys. Love him. I got the Jets at 6. Whew. Talk about hype. Oh, Hard Knocks is tonight. You see the Saints got Hunt. Tone is disputing that. I heard that earlier. You may be right about them winning a bunch of games. Can't take them lightly this year. NFC might be better this year. JH, I thought also that he was taking a physical with the Saints, but Tone has said since that earlier report that he's talking with the Colts. So until we see something in ink, let's hang in there and see where he lands. If he does land in New Orleans, Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara in the backfield with Derek Carr would be pretty damn would be cool to see. All right? Would be cool to see. Jets Hard Knocks starts tonight. I'd be like this. Hey, man. Okay. Better win some games, bro. Jets got a lot of pub on them. Shit, Craig Carton's like the biggest cheerleader I've ever seen. Wait a minute. Who's the biggest Eagle cheerleader in Philly? Oh, yeah, Elliott Spitzer, Polly Shore. I would say he's one of the top ones. Who else? Elliott Spitzer, Polly Shore. Couple dudes over at the Inquirer are pretty big cheerleaders. I won't name any names. Let's see. Anybody at the Fanatic? I don't. There's a couple cheerleaders. Not as bad, though, as New York. Holy cow, those Jet fans. And hey, and by the way, you ever notice how bad Jet fans still hates the Patriots to this day? Because Belichick turned them down being a head coach. Al Golden is Miami's Jerry Fouts. So damn true. So damn true. Oh, my God, I hate that guy. Al Golden. I did an interview with a guy in Miami last week, and he goes, every time Al Golden came and talked to you, he was afraid of you. He was. Because he didn't know what I was going to say. Like, you're recruiting New Jersey? There's great players in New Jersey, but they're going to Penn State or Pitt. They're not going to Miami. Why are you recruiting those places? Recruit South Florida. Stay in your backyard. Save your money. Got better players in South Florida. New Jersey's got great players. Pennsylvania, too. PA's got – I would say this PA high school football, really good, really good. Big 33 game was founded in that state. Okay? It's a great, great, great area of high school football. No question about it. Texas, Ohio, Florida, Louisiana, Georgia, New Jersey, all good places for college football. Out west, out west, they just lost the Pac-12. What do you think of football out west? I'm gonna do it. I got the Chargers with the 5th best roster in the AFC. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I'm gonna roll with the Chargers. Okay? Seals, you ever play with Mike Oxmail at the U? Sorry, dude. I'm not familiar with that name. Yeah. He may have been there, but I'm not familiar with that. Okay? Not familiar with that name. There's some guys that played at the U. Hey, don't you remember me? I played at the U. I was with you. And I went, yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, that doesn't, no. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad. Hey, way to go. We're brothers, kind of. Hey, sometimes it's like when a guy comes up to me and goes, hey, Sills, we're paisans. And I go, oh, so you're kind of like from Rome and places to the south, like Sicily and all that. He goes, no, I'm Calabrese. I said, oh, so we're almost paisans. I wonder if we will sign Hayward Yeah, okay. San Francisco just picked up Philly D. Fly, birds fly. Funny. Thor, the guy you fired. Those are funny. Those are funny posts. Hey, Thor, the guy you fired and your best head football coach in the history of your football team, his Jaguars are 4. How you doing? I think the Jags are going to make a move this year. The Bengals. Joey B. Number 3. Bills. Josh Allen. Eagle fans go, that guy's a turnover machine. He's just not good. He's had really bonehead plays. He's 13-3. He threw for 35 touchdowns. He had a bad year, according to Eagle fans. What happens when he plays well? Or better? He's Mahomes. That's his upside, is Mahomes. Jalen will never play like Mahomes. Allen can, according to you. Imagine if he doesn't turn the ball over. You telling me he's going to go 17-0? Look at his Dankos. Threw for 35 touchdowns and can't run. Damn, can't run. Turns the ball over, and the team still went 13-3. And he threw for 35 TDs and 4,300 yards. Man, maybe one day he'll get it right. and he beat both Burrow and Mahomes last year. Have you ever beaten Mahomes? That would be no. Sue, here we go again. What? Oh, okay. Sue doesn't like the facts, so we have to put those in our Howard Eskin bag and keep it over there with the Angelo desk, and because you guys don't like that shit. We're the greatest team in the history of the football team. Nobody's ever better. Nobody better than every. Should pass out binky sometimes to people. Chiefs got. You know what's crazy? I don't think the Chiefs have the best roster in the AFC. As a matter of fact, they got the worst wide receiving core maybe in the AFC. Would that be fair? Who are their wideouts this year? Who'd they bring in? Did they have anybody? Smith-Schuster was a dude. Do they have any wideouts? Dude, like you know what? Maybe I would say this to you. Do the Bengals have a better roster? Yes. Do the Bills? Yes. Shit, the Jets might. Kansas City doesn't have a great roster. Who are their wideouts? Who's the name of their wideouts? Shit, like I said yesterday, Chicago has better wide receivers than Kansas City does. Sky Moore? Wow. Dude, Sky Moore is Quez Watkins. That's Quez Watkins. Wow. Tony? Look at... Isn't it funny that the majority of the wide receivers that Andy had in... Hey, Tone, is this a coincidence? Don't put T.O. in the conversation. Okay? Don't put T.O. in the conversation. But all the years that Andy was in Philadelphia, who's the best wide receiver he had? You think Djax is comparable to Tyreek Hill? Probably. And then after that, who? Who did he have? Kind of guys. FedEx, Freddie Mitchell. Who else? Jeremy Maclin. Those guys are okay. Jeremy Maclin, Juju Smith-Schuster. Hunter Renfrow, Jeremy Maclin, Reggie Brown, kind of dudes. Not great. JM goes never had Kelsey, but he had great tight ends. He had really good pass-catching tight ends in Philadelphia. I don't think there's any coincidence to that because it kind of looks the same. All right, I'm going to do the NFC here in a second. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles' place in the NFC when it comes to rosters. Exhibition football starts Thursday, and your place is Hooters KOP, King of Prussia, the official home of the National Football League for the 2023 football season. And as we mentioned with exhibition football, this is the official home of Eagle fans. Have yourself a cold one. Have yourself a great one. Get your draft parties ready for the upcoming NFL season. Reserve seats now while you can. Daily specials, Tuesdays, buy 10 wings. You get 10 boneless wings for free if you do this. This is stuff that's been going on for over 40 years. And this is the 40th anniversary of Hooters, too, by the way. Wing Wednesdays. All you can eat Wing Wednesdays, 1983. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. I say this to you all the time also. One of the best things you can do, try their fried pickles. Okay? Try that fried pickle, man. Absolutely insane. Miller Lite, Tall Drafts, Coors Light. Get the sandwiches, man. Some of the best. Also, steamers they have there as well. 240 North Gulf Road, King of Prussia. When you go to the Hooters in King of Prussia, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.